I would say overall, we'll get to this at the end, but just it is an investment. Make sure that you put the time into it. Don't rush it. It's not going to go well. It's a lot of material that you need to produce, and there's no shortchanging it. And I think, as I mentioned, I've never done anything government related. And so one of the really hard things about application 1 versus 2 is making sure that all your, I's are dotted and all your T's are crossed. There are so many. And when you're generating so much content for your evidence and your examples, it's easy to kind of forget about those things. And so, that's another really great reason to bring Michelle on. But what I'm going to go into, kind of the other key differences between application 1 and application number 2 is, as I mentioned, application 2 was all about focus. And so what we did is looked at all the examples I had from number 1 and scoped them down to examples that could be publicly available. This is another huge, asterisk this, star this. It is so important to use examples that are publicly available. And one of the big aha moments I had with Michelle is when she told me the mindset of the assessor. Their assessors come from many different backgrounds. You can't assume that assessors know your area of tech. As we know, tech as an industry is massive. You can't assume that they know your company. They can't assume that they understand all, the business jargon that you throw out there. And so, it's better to have 5 really strong examples that recommenders point to versus having 10 that no one can really verify. Because, a lot of what the assessors are trying to understand is they're trying to substantiate what you say and validate what you say. And that's really important. Do you actually know the people who are recommending you? Did you actually do the things that you say you did? And did they actually happen? So that was a huge background. That was a huge shift in strategy to what we focused on. We also changed out a few of the people who had written letters for round 1 for round 2 and focused in on people who could really speak to the work I did. And so as I mentioned, we focused in on a set number of examples, but then I had people speak 360 to it and how my work benefited them. Whether it be from the COO angle, the CFO angle, or, from just people working across the organization. And so it gave the assessor, a real 360 rounded view of all the work that I'd done previously. Another huge change we made is, like many of you on the call, I've been working now 15 plus years. And so my first round, I spoke to, all 15 years. It was like day 1 of my professional career. And so what we did again, the whole theme being focused is we scoped it down to pretty much business school and post. And so I do have an MBA from UCLA Anderson that is focused on tech management. And so really started my tech career there and spoke to everything subsequent to that as well. Because remember, it's 80 pages. It's a lot of content. You don't need to give them your whole life story. Just make sure that there's a narrative and it makes sense. So Michelle played a hugely integral role, in trying to decide this versus that. Because, a lot of the work that you produce, it's kind of your babies. And you're like, well, they need to know about this. It's like, well, they